Hello, it's Stacy of Stacy Create Stuff, and I am coming to you from my local quilt shop today because today's tutorial is how to make the sailboat quilt. This quilt uses Tilda Fabrics Creating Memories Summer Collection. My friend Jane put together this sample, but I'm going to show you how I created the blocks in two different colorways. And we have kits available here at Vintage Pink and Green. Let's head back to the studio and make some blocks. This is going to be a sailboat. Today I'm going to show you how to construct the sailboat block from the Tilda Sailboat Quilt and the sailboat cushion. The sailboats are constructed exactly the same way. So I've already cut all of my pieces, and I know it doesn't look like a sailboat yet, but it will. We're going to set aside these pieces for the moment and work on these paired rectangles. This is the little flag at the top of the sailboat. This is the larger sail, and this is the smaller sail. I'm going to put right sides together, but I need to set the top rectangle at an angle. Now, it is not from corner of the rectangle to the corner, but rather from 1/4 of an inch in and 1/4 of an inch in there. I find that it's easiest if I poke a pin through that point and a pin through that point. I'm just going to leave that in there. I haven't pinned it down. And I'm going to do the same at this corner. So again, I'm going to mark that 1/4 of an inch in. And yes, I am eyeballing it, but certainly you should measure if you don't feel confident that you know where the 1/4 of an inch is. Many years of quilting, and I'm pretty good at measuring 1/4 of an inch. So I've poked a pin through that, and then I'm just going to give a little tug between the two. That kind of helps to flatten it out. Now I can go ahead and pin that in place. And I'm going to draw a diagonal from that point to the other point, and that is my sewing line. Let's go ahead and prepare the other two rectangles that work that way. On this one, I'm going to draw on to the back of this tan piece. And first I'm going to mark my 1/4 of an inch. You may find it easier to draw the line before you do the pinning. That way none of the pin heads are getting in your way if you're using one with a more rounded head. And then I'm going to do the same thing by putting the pin through at 1/4 of an inch in from each edge. And again, I can kind of just give a light tug. It's enough to align these properly. And then I'm going to go ahead and pin. And the same goes with this one. Both of these happen to be solid, so that makes it super easy. As long as you can get the right corners to line up. Let me go ahead and draw my line. All right, those pieces are ready to be sewn. One more piece that needs to be prepared, and that is the boat itself. So this is a simple case of putting the rectangles on each end. And here we're going to draw a diagonal line, this time going from the very corner of the square to the corner of the other square. And then I'm going to go in the opposite direction, but again from the corner to the corner. No needing to measure in 1/4 inch. We're going right from the corners. These lines will be sewn, this will come back, and you'll see that is starting to make the boat shape. So let's go sew all of these pieces together, and then we'll come back and start seeing how our boat goes together. I'm back with an important update to remind you that direction matters. So we want to make sure that this piece, which is the larger sail, it goes in that direction. I, of course, had sewn it well in the opposite direction, and it didn't work. So I need to realign these and sew along that diagonal so that when I fold it back, it looks like that. Likewise, you want to be sure that the small sail goes in this direction. We're going to be trimming things up in a moment, but just to make sure that you position things correctly. Let's fix this one. Oh, and same goes for the flag too. I'm back with all the pieces sewn correctly. I only had to rip out 2. But see, I make the mistake, so you don't have to. And now we can trim off the extra bits of fabric. So I have already pressed the pieces back, and I'm just going to trim them down to about 1/4 inch seam. And the same goes true for the bottom of the boat here. Can trim off the excess fabric. Now we have all of our components, and it's time to start putting them together. These 2 pieces will go together. The flag and the piece next to it will go together, and then that will be sewn to that piece. These side pieces will then be sewn to each of these. This goes together, and this will make the bottom of the block. And here is the finished quilt block. It was so much fun to make. I made one in blue. If you are interested in a kit for this quilt in either the sand colorway or in the blue colorway, kits are available from my local quilt shop, Vintage Pink and Green. Making the quilt blocks was so much fun, and I hope that you will give it a try. And remember, kits are available here from Vintage Pink and Green, and the pattern is available for free off of Tilda's website. Links to all those things in the description below. And if you've enjoyed this video and want to see more of my videos and know when the next one comes out, be sure to like and subscribe. I appreciate it, and I hope you have a quilty day.